Woodrow Wilson, entering the Great War to make the world safe for democracy.
Woodrow Wilson, preparing Americans for greater federal control.
Why is there a narrator?
Michael, it's not just that Wilson made a terrible strategic mistake getting the U.S. involved in World War I. There's another aspect of it that's actually pretty sinister. And that is his progressive friends were licking their chops at the prospect of American entry into the war, not just because they were unhappy with Germany, but also, and perhaps even primarily, because they thought wartime would present them with a golden opportunity to move Americans past their superstitious reverence for limited government and private property and more toward the idea of a more socialized form of economic and social order.
Their vision was, we've had this industrial revolution, and now we can run America like a giant factory. It'll be more efficient. The problem is, factory living, factory working, those aren't regarded by most people as the height of civilization. It's a job you take that you don't necessarily like. It's certainly hard work. But Wilson and his cronies were like, we want to make America into one big factory where you're living there 365 days a year, 24/7.
John Dewey was one of the great progressive intellectuals. He was an educational theorist, and he was delighted at the prospect of American entry because he said, and these are his words, "The war may be the beginning of the end of business." And in fact, one historian said that Dewey looked at things this way. Because war demanded paramount commitment to the national interest and necessitated an unprecedented degree of government planning and economic regulation in that interest, Dewey saw the prospect of permanent socialization, permanent replacement of the private and possessive interests by public and social interests.
And this also ties in very closely with the progressives' love of efficiency when it comes to things like leisure. You shouldn't be drinking, and that's why prohibition and progressivism went hand in hand. You could be studying or working or producing for society. And you see that to this day, where you shouldn't be making certain kinds of movies or enjoying certain kinds of jokes or wearing certain kinds of clothes because it's not the right thing to do.
The idea during the 1930s was that since we planned during wartime, why can't we plan during peacetime? So the whole ideological apparatus, the whole idea that we summon all the material and spiritual resources of the society in order to embark on some great undertaking is very much present and is very much a legacy of World War I.
The principle behind World War I set a very bad precedent, which is if there's a bad person anywhere on earth doing a bad thing as a political leader, it's on us, the United States, to get involved and put a stop to them. Even if we don't know what that stop would look like, no matter what the cost in terms of money or lives. America's got to get involved in some capacity, and this is an idea that just doesn't seem to die. We see it over and over to this day. People regard the Iraq War as a mistake, but we also have to be in Syria, or in Iran, or in Venezuela, whenever there's a bad person in charge. It's our duty as Americans to go everywhere in the world to fight this person. And this all can be traced back to Woodrow Wilson, this progressive idea. Maybe it's time to declare war on war. Tom, you're a warrior, aren't you?
I most certainly am not.